All right, welcome back to Newmaker's interview with John Hankins, a financial therapist, about some of the mental health issues around retirement. Again, thank you very much, John, for joining us.
Well, thanks, Josh.
One of the things that I experience a lot as a financial planner, a very common story that I see play out is somebody retires. And again, you've talked about how they lose that paycheck, and that paycheck is a certain amount of security for them. And so here they are in this new financially insecure world, and they end up basically taking all their money and putting it into the stock market if the stock market's doing well. And for a while, those stock market gains are going to substitute for the security that they felt with that paycheck. The problem is that security only lasts as long as the stock market is good, right? And a lot of times when that falls apart, you end up having to deal with a lot more than just that initial insecurity. So, the next question here is going to deal with investing and some of the mental health challenges that come with investing. So can you just talk a little bit about your experience with that?
Sure. I think that there's a couple pieces to this,
Okay.
and some of it we've already touched upon, but I think once you're into that post-retirement phase, the education, the financial self-efficacy piece is really key. Having an understanding of what's going on and what you can expect is really important. And this folds into your financial circumstances, I believe. And I really think that this is a piece that it frustrates me when I read articles about, here, do this, have this much money doing that. I think that the here, do this piece is really contingent upon your overall circumstances. I think that it's a totally different picture if you have enough money invested. Excuse me. So let's just, for example, say, okay, I've got X dollars, and if I take 3% out of this, out of my whole bucket of investments every year, I'm going to be fine. Okay. If you kind of double that, or so say, that the classic is 4%, 5%, as you start to notch that up, then I think you get into a different picture that says, I need to be much more concerned about volatility and consistency, and how do I control that. And I think this just goes back to the education piece. What does that mean? What contributes to volatility? Well, the stock market is volatile. It's going to be volatile. If all your money is in the stock market and you are not prepared for the day when the stock market drops, 10%, you're doing the wrong thing. It's going to be, there's going to be way too much emotion involved in that. It's going to be, you're backing just into a whole cycle of trauma of, oh, yikes, I lost, here's all the money I lost today. Well, this feels terrible.
Yeah.
And it felt so good when I was making all this money. There's such an emotional roller coaster that's built into that. And if you don't understand that and prepare for that, you're just in a tailspin. Personally, for me, what I have done, and I did this before I retired, but it works the same on both sides. So I feel like I'm pretty well educated on this whole piece. I understand what I want to do. What I understand I don't want to do is, I am not an investment advisor. I am not an expert on the stock market. I'm never going to be an expert on the stock market. Most people are in the same boat as me. So I have somebody manage all of my investments, simply for the goal of taking my emotional well-being out of the equation. That and it's a funny story that the company that manages my investments will call me and they'll want to talk to me about what's going on, and I'll say, I'm paying you so I don't have to have this conversation. You guys are making these decisions. I don't, I want to understand, what's my mix here in between equities and fixed income. And yeah, it's nice to know that you're, underweight in Asia and, overweight in IT or whatever. But I don't want to be involved in these details, because as the owner of all this stuff and the person who's dependent on this, it's just way too emotional for me to have to make decisions on these, ups and downs. So I think that's really key. So back to kind of where I started from, I think if here's here's your dollars, here's your plan, here's where you're starting out with your principal. What are the best ways to invest this, adjusting for how much volatility that I can tolerate? And I'll just, for me, the way that I cushion that is I have enough cash to last me for 2 years. So I don't have to do anything. I don't have to take any money out of the market when the market's down. That I always maintain that cash cushion if I need it. So when the market's up, I make sure that I keep that cushion solid, and when the market's down, then it's there. So to me, that's a way to deal with the volatility, but that's not a plan for everybody. Again, that goes back to, I think, what are your circumstances? How much can you afford to take out of the market, and just adjust your plan for that. That's kind of back to what I said before. I get frustrated when I see these pronouncements, and I think it's no one size fits all for everyone. But I think it is key to have a plan and have the um, emotional calm to get through it, so you can enjoy your retirement. It should not be that because there is a dip in the stock market, that is, especially when it's a dip that is not, it's not unexpected. if,
Right.
if you look at the stock market, yeah, on average it goes up, but it gets there by going up and down. So uh, that's just part of the game, and
Yeah.
there are lots of ways to avoid that volatility. But again, it goes back to first getting over the fear, shame, whatever, to you know do this as your new job, take this on as your new part-time job, uh, and understand those pieces, and then have help in making those decisions.
Yeah. It's interesting that you're talking a lot about, the new job that somebody has. And I think that it's possible, and tell me if you agree, it's possible for somebody to get so caught up in the minutia of things that don't matter as much when it comes to managing their retirement, that they maybe lose sight of or get distracted from some of the emotional truths behind that retirement and some of the decisions they're making. Do you ever see that with people where they're just getting too caught up in things that don't matter or matter less with their retirement, that they just lose the plot altogether?
Yeah, I think that's yeah, a real hazard, again, of this being part of the 401k generation, that there's all these piece parts. Yeah, you don't have that paycheck anymore, so you want to understand, is there going to be dollars there when I need them? But getting up every morning and looking at stock prices or whatever is, unless you enjoy that stuff, and
Right.
a lot of people do. I find it interesting, uh, but wringing your hands over, oh, I know that I own stock in this company and their stock price is down. yeah, that is just
Yeah.
not emotionally healthy. That's not good, um, for anyone, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, to go back to some of the analogies that I was using before, when it comes to the same things that made you successful at your job, or at anyone's job, is to keep focused on the big picture and maybe not get so bogged down in the miniature details of what's happening. So, I think that that's some really fantastic advice. So, thank you again for taking some time. In the next video, we're going to talk about where advisors fit into this situation. So, John, see you there. Thank you again.
Thanks, Josh.